And welcome back to This Is Dunder Moose. Probably one of the strangest episodes we're gonna have, but tonight is all about the latest rage to take over since November of 2023 until this very day of Battle Braunsteins. And you may ask yourself, what is a Battle Braunstein? I've never heard of this crap, Dunder Moose. This is my first time on your channel. I heard someone was going to drink out of a shoe. Here's what's going on. Cass says, everyone always asks, who is Dunder Moose? But never, whomst is Dunder Moose. I have also noticed that lack, Cass, and I have also been disappointed by this. A Battle Braunstein. This is a concept. Well, the word Braunstein itself, I think originally David Wesley called it Braunstein because it was for a Prussian town. And basically, this is the predecessor to Dungeons and Dragons or whatever. A bunch of people just got assigned a role and they just go nuts making plans and backstabbing each other and double crossing each other. And it was all right.
Enough of that. Enough
of that. Everybody knows what it is. Everybody knows what it is. What you need to know is that B-Dubs came on This Is Dunder Moose in a legendary moment, challenged everyone that wants to claim the hashtag BROSR needs to have a Battle Braunstein by this month. And so now he's back. It's June, and he has seen the fruits of those efforts. Hashtag thank you, Jeffro, for reinventing. We had tried the Braunstein as a BROSR, and it was a lot of fun, and it burned out DMs almost as bad as 5e usually does. So we were looking to change it up, and B-Dubs and Jeffro, and I don't know who else was in on those back channel conversations, but you were like, let's return to the old ways. Let's have a one-night single session event. Screw the players. Who cares about the PCs? Except for, we'll get to that. This is for the big boys. This is for the patrons. Everyone's going to take the toys out of the box. We're going to play. We're going to totally throw out whatever you thought a campaign was. We're going to upend the stasis of the world, and we're going to have a blast doing it. And then when the game starts again, everyone's going to have to deal with a new normal. So all of that by way of introduction. I have with me B-Dubs, who issued the challenge, B-Dubs 1776 on Twitter.
I issue a challenge to stop talking. That's the challenge I'm issuing now, because the doubters came at us. They did. It's been years now. What's it, 4 years now? The doubters came at us as you deal with your ridiculous mustache, and they thought they could expose us, but really they exposed themselves.
And nobody wants that.
And they think that we're trying to be like the OSR, the conventional players. We're not. We're not trying to be like that. We're trying to go back to the old ways because we have a purpose. We have a purpose since before they had an opinion on what the BROSR even was. And our purpose is doing great D&D. They told us it couldn't be done. They told Jeffro it couldn't be done. But there's nothing Jeffro can't do except finish his book.
Burn.
Look, our purpose is Christ Jesus, #1. I could talk about that, not what I'm doing tonight. This isn't a religious podcast. I could talk about submit to Rome, get baptized, go to church, talk about all that. You should do that. But really, tonight, I want to talk about my new tag team partner, Robert the Hill Stevens, because this is a man that walked into the very first Battle Braunstein, and he walked out a champion.
That's right.
He's allergic to not winning Battle Braunsteins. So
he didn't just win the Battle Braunstein. He won that whole year in Trollopulous. He wound up on top.
That is right. That is right. All day he wins.
Keep going. Keep going, please. Keep going.
So all I want to say is he's a champ. That's why we're tag team now for this Battle Braunstein review. And also, I couldn't be bothered to read every line of every one of these things. So he has to bring a little extra insight into it. So I didn't fall asleep reading some of these session reports. You guys need to get it together overall, but we'll talk about the details of that.
All right. I guess
Alrighty.
it's my turn. The Midwest icon, the BROz N superstar, the one everybody wants to see. And I owe everyone something.
That's
I
right.
put out a poll and I made a promise.
Here it
I made
is.
a promise to the bros.
Oh, look at that. He's got a Yingling, too. Look at that. So he's even bringing Western PA into this, which is very classic. This is what we're talking about.
You know, I can't drink
chat is going
Budweiser
nuts.
anymore. Unfortunately, I'm from St. Louis. Hate that I can't, but
There it
cheers to
is.
everyone.
Cheers.
Yeah, there it
Here
is.
comes the
Cheers.
Julie.
I'll lift a cup to you, not out of a shoe, because I am sanitary. So, well, look, he's chugging the whole thing. He really is
Yeah,
doing
he
it.
is. Look at that. Does not work as well with
With
Croc.
That's what I'm talking about.
There it is.
Oh my gosh.
There it is.
Promise is
Ladies and
made. Promise
gentlemen.
is kept.
Woo!
And you guys wonder, you're like, who is the next big guy in the BROz N coming up the mid card trying to get into the main event? It's this crazy son of a gun right here. Good heavens.
Remember me on your way past.
That, he'd have to do that like weeks ago, dude. He passed you like weeks ago.
That's true. That is a good point.
Oh.
So shall we get into it, gentlemen?
Yeah, let's get right into it because we've got a lot of really great stuff and some more boring stuff to talk about. So we need to really jump on in.
So we'll start with the first one, the original Battle Braunstein, November of 2023. Jeffro Johnson himself ran it. And who would like to take first crack at
I'll
judging
go first.
this thing?
I'll go first.
Let the champ take it.
All right, number one. What we got? Campaign integration impact. That's a 5, hard 5. Tell you why. It's the first one. Obviously, most important. Everyone's branching off from it. Easy 5. Player engagement 5. Okay.
Heck yeah.
Look, everyone was already playing in his campaign before the Braunstein even started. When it happened, it popped off. Champ was there. Won. Okay. Easy 5. Factions. 5. Now.
Man, you made me laugh my mustache off.
All right, keep your mustache on. Listen, we had elves. We had Dunder Moose over prepping some weird giant stuff that never got used in the story. There was Doucheland, okay?
Doucheland.
The assassin guy. We had the dragons, okay? The human supremacists. What more could you ask for out of a faction layout, okay? Easy 5 out of 5. Done by Jeffro. Thank you, Jeffro. He's the tribal chief for a reason. I want everyone now to take a moment to acknowledge the tribal chief.
Acknowledge the tribal chief.
Our cult leader.
I'm acknowledging the tribal chief. You just can't see it because I don't want to get
Do it
doxed.
in the chat. Get those emojis.
Fingers up. Get them up.
Do it in the chat. Fingers up. Come on. Come on.
Right on.
Y'all are lucky I'm not a boomer. I'd kick you from the chat for not doing it.
All righty. So I'm going to go ahead and lock that in as Robert's score.
As you might imagine, I may not be as verbose in my praise of Jeffro. Jeffro and I have a complicated friendship. We have a complicated rivalry. But I'm going to try and be honest with his Battle Braunstein, the original Battle Braunstein, the Douchelandia Battle Braunstein with the Giants, all the greatness. So I'm going to take it away. Dunder Moose is a terrible host, so he didn't mention this, but we separated this into like 3 types: the campaign integration, player engagement, factions. And this is based off of kind of related to Bret Hart's way of rating wrestlers, based off of how good they are in the mic, how good their body is, and then how good they are in the ring. So that's kind of what we're trying to do here. We're trying to bring something to it and trying to make it scientific, mathematical. You could say we may even be more scientific than a physicist. But here's my rating on the Battle Braunstein. Campaign integration is obvious. That's a 5-star. I mean, every faction in there was stuff that was part of the campaign going into it. So that one's an easy one. That's my ratings on that are going to be a little harder on ones where something was sort of introduced just for the Battle Braunstein. But except for, I believe, the orcs, I think everything in there was an NPC that you guys actually discovered in play. So that's a big deal for me. That's kind of what I dig in these Battle Braunsteins. So I give that a 5. I'm going to jump down to the factions. I'm giving that a 5. It was a great mix. All of those factions were extremely interesting. I love them all. There was nothing boring in any of those guys. Every single faction was cool, interesting, had some great drives, were played well based on what I've read and what I've heard. And I'm going to go with player engagement. Player engagement, I'm going to give a 3. I'm giving player engagement a 3 on the Battle Braunstein original because Chaz's orders were ignored. They were ignored. And I had an elf in my pocket as a faction leader, and he got left in the dust. And I know he played well because I know Dornall is a good player. So that's what I'm saying there. I've also know that for a first Battle Braunstein, there was maybe a little bit of player whining there. Now, that doesn't mean the players weren't engaged. It doesn't. It just means
most of us didn't even know what was going on. Like,
see, that's part of the issue when you're doing a first thing. So
that's right.
That's going to rate out. I'm giving that's an average of 4 stars, but that would average out to 4 stars. But it gets a +1 for being first. So it is a 5-star from BDubs as well for being first.
5 for engagement.
I just give it a +1 for being the first Battle Braunstein ever. So it would have came out to a 4, but it gets a bump. It gets a bump for being first, like the very first ladder match.
All right, so 4 on player engagement or 5?
Man, just give it all 5. I just added I added a superfluous extra star for being the first one. Lock it in.
I'm gonna lock it in for both of you. Okay, this. I mean, here's the thing. If you give this the perfect score, and I think it's gonna be when I hit this button, 5 stars. Yeah. There is nowhere to go from here. Nowhere to go but down.
Excuse me.
It goes up, and then it will probably go down. We'll see.
It just gets better and better, guys. It just gets better and better. You will see. Everyone stick around for the main event because, once again, our host is terrible. Let me remind you, by the end of this, I am going to drop a new challenge on the whole of the BROSR. And I'm going to give you a little teaser. Dunder Moose, the last 2 times I was on, he's tried to tease a quote from some random BROSR player that no one cared about. I'm going to tease that this challenge that I'm going to drop is for PCs, not DMs. So stick around and find out what it is. Get a jump on the rest of your crew.
All right. And we may do this again, and you may see your first 5.5 star, maybe even a 6 star. Who knows? All right.
So let's move on. Come on, host.
Let's move on. Here we go. Next up, chronologically speaking, in December of 2023, we had BDub's own Fishtstein. Sorry, Fishtstein. Fishtstein. It's only weird if you make it weird, and Dubseron makes it weird. We had Cathaler.
Look. I'll take this one first.
It's just me, Oos. Day one. It's just me, Oos.
It is just me, Oos, and it was all the players as well, but they were there. And I know I could just do a promo here and pretend I'm perfect. I'm gonna try and be really fair with this, okay?
Right on.
I am. I'm gonna do my best to be sort of fair and balanced on this one.
Don't be too hard on yourself, though. It's easy to go the other way.
I am less hard on myself than anyone else. So moving down the line, let's go to campaign integration. Now, I'm not going to give this one a 5 because I did kind of introduce some last second stuff. I'm going to go to 4. And also, it was just kind of a small region of the humongous Dubseron match map. So it's just kind of in the corner. So it doesn't impact the whole campaign world. It just kind of impacts a little region. So I'm going to give that a 4.
Okay.
But basically, just to remind everyone, this is when Cathaler rose from the depths and took over a town. You had Trabajo. So I am going to then move 2 factions. Speaking of Trabajo, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to jump to factions next.
All right.
Factions were fantastic. In my opinion, as the DM, Trabajo's faction of being kidnapped by the cult was great. Cathaler obviously is great. The evil berserker thing from Broken Sword was great. The PCs brought great stuff. We had an elf actual PC, which also goes to player campaign integration because a PC was actually able to. Thank you. I appreciate that, Jeffro, that I get 5 stars for keeping players in their place. Thank you, sir. But I'm going to give it 5 stars. I'm sorry, 4 stars for factions. 4 stars for factions.
All right. We can do half stars, by the way. I can add a half star.
No half.
I'm doing straight up stars for the sections, but then it does come out it does come out to the middle. And then player engagement for the Dubstein, I'm giving it 2 stars because I did have a lot of complaining. I did have a lot of people who were like, why are we doing this? I did have a ton of that. And I didn't have players ready to jump into the toy box like Jeffro had. It was a little more of like doubting, not sure if this was a good call. What could be the deal here? So I'm trying to be fair. I'm trying to be fair with what I've actually experienced. As a DM, I have a little more insight on this, and I feel like Robert's probably going to do that when he gets to his. So, but I do want to be fair to myself. So somehow this is going to total out to bump all those up. This is actually going to total out to 6 stars. This was actually beyond perfect. This was an amazing one. I'm giving myself 6 stars as if I had a perfect match at the Tokyo Dome.
Let's go! Woo!
Right, 6 stars on that.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
Hang on.
You have 4 stars, you goofball. What are you doing?
You broke it. All right. So we got 5.
I'm sorry. I'm like Dave Meltzer. I just broke it.
All right. So I'm sorry. Was it 4, 5, 4, or was it 5, 6, 5?
It's 6. It's all 6 across the board.
All 6, baby.
It was beyond perfect. It was much better than Jeffro's.
Okay, I'm locking it in. Let's go and see what Robert voted for.
All right. This one was an easy one. Again, to rate. Let's see. Campaign integration and impact. I gave it a 5. We have Cthulhu smashing up everything, causing the end of the world. Factions. It's easier to go to factions second. How we have this set up. Let's be honest.
All right.
So factions. Another 5. We had established people. They're going in. We have mercenaries, if I remember correctly. Were they based off Berserk or something? I've been reading Berserk, so I'm all about that. It was a blast. I like the options. Now player engagement, I gave it a 5. I didn't have the insight B-Dubs had, but I give it a 5 because the right player won the Dubstein, which was B-Dubs, because everyone else lost, which makes sense. So clearly the right man won. So out of all that, 5 out of 5. 5 out of 5. Easy.
All right.
Now, the other guys, there's not going to be many 5 out of 5s left on my list here. So
okay, so I'm locking it in. And the score comes out to 5. You guys know how much? Do you know how long I spent trying to build this tool? And you were going to break it with your shenanigans.
You prepped, my friend. You haven't listened to a word I've ever said. You did prep. Look, what you should have done, what you should have prepped is the fact that you haven't given an overview for any of these Braunsteins. Let's go into them, and then you explain what it is, what had happened, who the DM was. Like, what are you even here for? To wear a hat? Let's get it together.
You did read them, right? You did read them, right?
I barely played in them.
Oh, my goodness.
Actually,
you can't even do it. Do we even have to take the descriptions? Do you want to go ahead and log off Dunder Moose and we can just take it from here?
You guys just run it. But then where would the audience go? Like, you'd lose at least 6 people without me. So let's just move on, shall we? Next up in our chronological tour, we have the Make Adventuring Great Again Battle Braunstein, your buddy and mine, Vomitron. Battle for Mupple Valley, Skeksis, Fembots, lycanthropic radiation. I can't even talk. Nukes. Who wants to go first on this one? B-Dubs or Robert the Heel?
I'll go first. All
right.
We said integration with campaign. I gave it a 4. It was very interesting. It seemed like it was started from the ground up. I don't know if there were other games put in it, so I hesitate on giving it a 5. So it's getting a 4 there. We're going to go to factions. I give factions a 5. I really liked, what was it? There were some really good factions, man. If I didn't write any down, I just put great factions. And if I wrote a compliment, it's good, okay? If I wrote a compliment down, you're lucky. What else do I got here? For player engagement, again, I give it a 4. you know, I felt like everyone was playing. I felt like the players were having fun. It didn't wow me to a 5 level, but overall, you know, I feel like that's about a 4 out of 5. That ain't bad, you know. Meatloaf would agree.
Right on. I don't know if the chat agrees with you, but let's lock it in.
No one cares about the chat. Let's move on.
I actually did. They came to hear us. They came to hear me. You know what I mean? I'm not here to listen to them.
Exactly right. Go ahead.
Here for the main event, my friend. I actually, for the ones coming up now, I actually did like a kind of likes and dislikes thing for myself. I didn't do that for the first two because I kind of knew them so well. I didn't really need to. I could pop off about the original Battle Braunstein, Who Caresville for hours, and Fishtstein for hours, which I did actually on this same channel. So I'm going to go for my likes and dislikes. Let's start with what I liked about the Make Adventuring Great Again. I think I like the way that the session report was kind of written with the actions and resolution. The way it was like almost like a little story each turn, like the way you read the session report. And I got to feel like that he maybe delivered that pretty well to the players at the time, this DM Vomitrons. And it's like kind of like scaled up 1E initiative, the way it read, with the DM kind of hashing out what each turn happened based on initiatives and the decisions they made, which I thought that was a really good form to do. And we'll see if more of the Battle Braunsteins did that. And then another thing I liked is, and this we'll go ahead and put on campaign integration. Go ahead and put my rating in there, which is a 5. Because one of the things I liked about this is this was a Battle Braunstein done after 104 sessions of real first edition Dungeons and Dragons. So this is super integrated into what's going on. Everything in this, I know I'm sure almost everything, if not everything, was developed as part of the campaign, which is just what you want. You want these to be things that people have been talking about for dozens of sessions, like what's going on with this, what's going on with that. But it sounds like my favorite faction that I liked was not integrated all the way, which was these Cloud Giants. It sounds like they came out of left field, but I love the Cloud Giants. I love them. I want to hear all the stories of the Cloud Giants making people pay tribute. I love that.
Yeah, that was really good.
My dislike on the thing in general, at least on what came out of the session report and the after action, my dislike was, didn't seem like there was like a big single event. There wasn't like a red kegger. There wasn't a wet wedding. And it didn't seem like there was an icing on the cake. Now, you know, the Cloud Giants kind of battered the city and all that stuff, but I don't think that really hit the level of like the red kegger or the wet wedding. So I'm gonna go and give my ratings now, but that was my likes and dislikes. And that's just based on the session reports. Now, if there was more going on there that the players, the DM feel like, hey, that's not quite right because this happened, that happened. I'm just going based on what I read or what I saw in a video or something. So campaign integration, like I said, it's 5 stars for sure. Those were great. The player engagement, I watched them right here on What Even Is a Dunder Moose, and that's 5 stars. Those guys were pumped. They were so excited. It's like the only Dunder Moose podcast besides the one I'm on that I actually listened from start to finish. It was incredible.
B-Dubs almost asked Whomst on that one.
I will never ask Whomst. Also, the factions themselves, I'm only giving them a 4-star, and I'll tell you why. I'm giving the factions a 4-star. I think some of them were a little goofy, maybe overcomplicated. And when I was reading the session report, there was just so much going on with each faction. I felt like it was kind of muddied. There was a couple that didn't have like a clear what it was. Again, this is based on reading session reports. I give it a 4. So this is great all the way around, but I don't make it a perfect, and it doesn't get a 6-star like the Fishtstein, which was exceptional.
Not Humpst, Brian.
I heard Humpst.
Let's just score it and keep moving. 4.5 stars for Make Adventuring Great Again.
Well earned, MAGA team. Well earned.
Right on. Next up, we had Harmony Ginger's Braunstein of the Gods, where she gave the whole world to her players. What did you guys think of this one?
I gave that a 0. I didn't even watch it or pay attention to it.
0 stars. We don't want the women's division, so let's move along.
Yeah.
No women's division.
Keep it going.
You don't watch
that 0 star. double.
Okay,
Lock it in.
you
Lock it
dirty
in.
dogs. You
Come on,
low
lock it
down
in.
snakes in the grass. These are our friends, and you didn't even watch. Well, if you guys are interested, there is an episode of that on This Is Dunder Moose. Moving right along though. Next up we had I called it the Bandit Braunstein. I'm not sure it was in Machodor. It was in the mountains, the Bandit Mountains of Machodor. We had merchant caravans, we had mercenaries, we had the Master of Winter. Who would like to take first crack at this one?
I guess I'll go. This is going to be probably my most controversial take because I love Macho Mandolf, but I reflected on it. So campaign integration, I can't deny that it was a 5, because it was used from already campaign. It did add stuff. It had the piece of Slice of Doom. That was on note. Factions, I gave it a 3. I like some of the factions, but the problem was this Braunstein, if you've read it, it's a lot different than other Braunsteins. It involved caravans competing in like a race and travel. And a lot of the caravans kind of just felt the same, or just like they're like 2 dwarf caravans, it just didn't really, have that extra, oomph to it. Then we're going to go to player engagement. And I did play in this one. I gave it a 3, and I'm going to tell you why. A lot of these caravans wanted to work together. Okay, they wanted to work together, and in a Battle Braunstein, you're supposed to screw each other over. They're supposed to really be less co-op, and I just can't. I just can't. There wasn't it just wasn't.
It needs to be wheels within wheels. Man, oh man, they all were trying to work together. So I didn't gather that. I appreciate that insight.
Yeah.
So I'll give you my thoughts. I'll give you my things. When we actually forgot to discuss this beforehand, my stance on Battle Braunsteins in general is going to be a little more loosey-goosey, a little more loose. Okay, sort of like Austin Theory is in the ring. He's so clean. He can kind of just take any move. He can just kind of add a move to it. He can jump in. He can do these flips. It's easy. It's clean. He's not sitting there working out every single move in a match. Okay, he just takes it as it comes, and that's kind of how I think Battle Braunsteins are. And I think, despite him, he is my tag partner for Brotown Down Under. I do believe that Robert the Hill Stevens is a little more of a locked-in kind of Braunstein, based on what I read of his. Now he can address that when we get to it, but I think that what we really want to do in a Battle Braunstein is what happened in the original, the Who Caresville, with the with Red Kegger, and then with the wet wedding in the outstanding Fishtstein that was 5.5 stars. Is you want to kind of find where the action is. You want to kind of follow where it's really going down. Okay, and a lot of these session reports, I noticed they started to get more into the like, day 1 we did this, here's a bunch of junk we did. Day 2 we did this, here's a bunch of junk we did. And even the session reports, I'm like falling asleep, trying to read this, looking at his homework, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is too much. It's too much information. If you need all that information, why don't we just you just tell me what the story is, like the actual tale, and then you tell me the tale. And then you can just have like a big log of all the junk that no one's ever going to read. Okay, you can just put like a attached PDF to your blog. Okay, for day 1, day 2, day, and that can be researched 50 years from now. Like we go back and look at Arneson's first campaign or whatever. Because right now, in the moment, in 2024, we're dealing with the future. We're dealing with the now. Okay, the Broasar is the now, and I really want to talk about what the story is of a Battle Braunstein. But this one, I didn't see that. I didn't see the Red Kegger. So I'm going to tell you what I liked and disliked about Mandolf's one, and he can take it. He's a big boy. He can take criticism, and he'll just say, "Righto," That's how he rolls. Okay, he is. Yeah, he's pure Aussie. He's an Aussie icon. So one thing I did like is that he mentioned me. That I liked. He said, "Thanks to B-Dub's bullying of Dunder Moose," which thank you, Mandolf, for noticing that I go through the trials and tribulations of having to deal with what is Dunder Moose.
If you bully me and I find out about it.
If you find out about it, and he said, I was already looking for a way to set up a Battle Braunstein, and this seemed like the ideal solution. So I like that. Thank you for mentioning me. Anyone who mentions me gets an extra little bump in their score. So keep that in mind next time we do this. I also like that it was kind of like, I don't know if this is like in his blood or something. I know Ozzy's a little different than the Europeans. They're a little different thing. But it struck me almost like a European style board game type thing, like Catan or something, with these caravans trying to race to one spot. And what I liked about that, not because I like Euro board games, I don't play that junk. But what I did like is it showed that the Battle Braunstein can be used for a lot of different approaches to gaming. You can kind of do game design sort of like half-cocked. You just kind of throw, caravans. We'll just have caravans going. It'll be great. It works. It always works. And that's why I argue that you can go with a loose approach to this stuff. You don't have to overdo it. You just have your general idea. You throw it at the players, and it actually almost always turns out okay. We have a 5-star rating for the Who Caresville Battle Braunstein, which Jeffro admits he had no clue what he was doing, and it took forever. And everyone was mad the whole time. So I like that part. I like that there was an icing on the cake. There was an assassination via call lightning. That's an icing on the cake. If there's not an icing on the cake, your Battle Braunstein needs to work. It needs to step it up. You need an assassination right at the end. You need someone who's going to punch somebody in the face right as it's ending. Something's got to happen. Okay. I like that they used AD&D rules just straight up. Didn't try to house rule a bunch of garbage and bring in some other rules from some other place. No one cares about that junk. Okay. I do run Axe, but we all need to understand that AD&D is the main event. It's the top tier. It's the universal champion. Okay. And so the fact that he just used it straight up just to show that it can be used for anything. I like that. Dislikes. The session report was so long. I fell asleep at my desk at work trying to read it. Exhausting. So I'm going to give you your ratings. Campaign integration, I give a 4. Okay. It seems like the merchants were kind of new, like a bunch of NPCs got generated right at one time. So that wasn't really integrated as much as it might be. Okay. In my opinion, reading session reports. So that's why we've got somebody who actually participated here. He can bring like the other side of that. He saw what was going on. Player engagement, I give that a 4. Seemed everyone was kind of pumped about it. There's some good stuff in there. I mean, it has good factions. And then, but unfortunately with the factions, I also give that a lower rating. I'm actually going to go even harder and give it a 2. I'm giving that a 2 rating on factions because there's just so many merchants. Okay. Enough merchants. What is this, Venice? What is this, globalist America? Enough with the merchants. I couldn't read the session report and work out who they were. My little notes I took on this was like 4 merchant companies plus these 3 interesting factions of the Kinku, the Irish, and Paladin Commander of the Machadorian Pegasus Corps. So it's like those were interesting. The merchants were not so interesting. Now that's just me reading the session report. Maybe you guys were in there mixing it up and all the merchants were having a lot of fun and they were all really cool. But that's not what I got from reading a session report. So that's my rating. You can lock that in.
All right. Locking it in. Yeah. Brigandine says, I really thought I'd get a good profit in St. Raoul. Then Moose blew my face off.
Was that the icing on the cake?
That was the second icing on the cake. I'll have you guys know that every Battle Braunstein I've taken part in, usually somebody important gets assassinated right at the end, and it's my fault.
They need to watch for the mustache, my friend. They need to watch for the mustache. What did Jeffro say? Go back to that one. I missed that. I talked.
He wants to have the session reports in the show notes. So I will go back after this goes up. I'll put all the links in into that.
All right. So what did it come out?
Here we go. So let's score it, and Macho gets 3.5 stars out of a possible 5.
Ooh.
I think that's still a strong showing.
It really is. It really is. And back in the day, that is like some of the best matches in history would be rated like a 3.5. That was before like star inflation recently. So that's actually is a really good score. I mean, it's not 5.5 stars like the Fishtstein, but it's pretty good.
Right on. All right. Next up, We have Night Danger himself with Fortress Orkmerica. One of the Orcish defenders was named Mog, which I love. Who's going to go first on this one?
I want to go second.
All right,
okay,
go
you
ahead.
want to go second? All right, I'll see if I can do it because I got a lot of notes on this one. I was going to read them while he talked, but give me one moment here. Let me pull up my raid. Okay. Let me tell you what I liked about this one. Did you describe it? What did you even describe it? It didn't sound like you described it very well.
You didn't
So
say
this
anything.
was
tell us what happened, and did you read these things, or did you just bring us on to do it?
He brought us to do all the
Good
hard
heavens!
Usual.
I spent all my time programming this graphic.
What a terrible use of time.
Stars on it.
No one's even going to look at this graphic. Everyone listens to this stuff with headphones in their car, and oh my god!
Please do not look at your phone while you're driving. It's not worth an accident. Get home safe and watch this again.
Unless I clown on his hat or mustache, then you can take a look at how ridiculous he is.
I don't have a mustache. It fell off. Go ahead.
I'll take it away since you don't want to describe it. This was a lost city reclamation kind of deal. It's kind of like colonialist, which I love, kind of in the jungle. And what happened with Night Danger, or as I call him, Skinny McFoley, he got in there and he realized there's actually like a lost city actually had a bunch of orcs in it. And that was what he says in his session report. Like, man, this was going to be a lost city, kind of empty, but it was more like a war situation. And so that's why he took it away and did a Battle Braunstein. And for all you guys listening here who haven't run one yet, so therefore you're not part of the BROSR, so maybe you can apply for membership later if you run one at some point. This is something you keep in mind. This is something you keep in mind when you're running a real D&D campaign. You say, look, I've got a situation here that's kind of odd. It's not what I expected. It's not necessarily what I planned. He didn't plan to have the city be full of orcs, but I guess he had a random encounter check or something, or whatever. Something happened in real session play that knocked it that direction. So he took it and ran with it for a Battle Braunstein, which I'm going to tell you right now, I absolutely love this one. Love it. Love this Battle Braunstein. Of what I read of it, what I saw tweets, his little videos. So I'm going to tell you what I liked. And there's a lot. Okay? I like that there was a loose kind of ruling for his orc war chief to get more allies. He didn't want to deal with a bunch of foolishness and a bunch of crazy dice, and he gave him like a real quick ruling. Okay, you can do this. You send him out. It's 1 on a d6 or something. You get a new ally. Boom. Simple, straightforward. Loose play is what gets it done. That's one. I like that he used chainmail. He brought that in. I like that the players had really stupid plans. I love that kind of stuff. The thing with the big throne sitting in it, the main orc chief, if you guys didn't read it, and you should, get together, get it to go, make it happen, read these things. The orc chief put a big throne in the courtyard of his keep in the hopes that the humans would like come at him, and then he closed the door behind him and haha, we got you. It is the stupidest plan I've ever heard, but I love it. I love it that he was bold. I love that his player was bold. The thing that I loved the most about this one, I was just in awe of how cool this was after the big battle with the orcs and the humans, there was like the necromancer faction. But good lord, you didn't even talk about the factions, Dunder Moose. This is absurd. Okay, there's factions of like, there's an elf aristocrat, he's got a mercenary company leader, he's got an archpriest, and his goal is to take the church and fortify it. And then he has a necromancer whose goal was to take the church. Because he's a necromancer, he wants access to the ossuary. And then, of course, there's Big Chief. I don't really know how to pronounce this. Guacamole? Like guacamole, I guess.
Sounds like I should read this.
Yeah, go ahead. Read what he said.
Yeah, you should have.
No, I meant the session report.
Oh, good lord.
Night Danger says, it should be noted that I set up the Lost City full of orcs as the campaign conceit explicitly to create conditions.
Oh, see? People are thinking it forward. Think forward to your Battle Braunstein conditions. And I'm going to give you a little spoiler here. This is going to apply to my challenge later. So stay tuned. So what I loved is the Mexican standoff at the church. I thought this was the most fantastic Battle Braunstein thing I have read, including the Wet Wedding or the Red Kegger. It outdoes both of them because it's not so high tense. It's not so high level. It's simple. It was simple. and it was due to player behavior on a level where the DM did not like kind of finagle it at all. It was like what happened was the necromancer during the battle, he went to the church and claimed the place and then barred the doors with like 20 skeletons. These were not huge numbers. It was simple. This is a simple situation. But then when the cleric showed up, he's like, "What's up, dude?" But then he charmed him through like a window or something, or a keyhole, something crazy, like something so simple. So then this campaign state ended the best I've ever seen, the greatest campaign state probably going right now in the BROs of they've got this town where the necromancer controls the church and the priest is charmed by the necromancer and letting him do it. As far as playing in that campaign world, can you imagine how cool and interesting that would be? That's fantastic.
Right on.
Fantastic. Outstanding stuff. And they let it go and they let it play out that way. And it was done through real player stuff. And my last like on this one is that it was old school Appendix N. Look, we've been super gonzo lately. This guy brought in the pulp. This is pulpy stuff. Nobody in this, except for like the names, was like goofy. Everything in here you could read in one of the Appendix N stories. Everything. Necromancer, mercenary company, a priest. Like nothing in there is like a Muppet or something goofy. Like who would put a stupid Muppet in a campaign? It's dumb.
Seriously.
So what did I dislike about this? Nothing. It was nearly perfect. So I'm going to give it 5 stars across the board. This is a 5-star Battle Braunstein. It would be 6 stars if it was at the Tokyo Dome.
All right, I'm locking it in on a 15. Robert, you're up.
Oh man, so I felt like I read something a little different. Maybe I drank too many shoeies before I read the session report. I'm not sure. I wrote a lot of notes. I'll give you my stars. I wrote a couple notes though that I want to read. All right, for integration and campaign, I gave it 4 out of 5. For player engagement, 3 out of 5. And factions, I gave it a 1 out of 5. Listen. Okay. I didn't like the setup that it was like 3v1 in the beginning. Like all these guys are like, hey, we're going to get the orcs. I did like that the necromancer decided, hey, I'm going to take the church for everything. That was interesting. But I didn't like the setting up dynamic. I felt like all 3 people should be more violent against each other. I guess it was how it was set up maybe that caused it to give me the feel, but I was not about that. I didn't like the retcon. He wrote there was a retcon in it. I put, correct me if I'm wrong, but I put there was a retcon at the end. I don't like retconning. You know, I spent all this time adjudicating this shit. And what I refed was law. I don't want to go back and hear complaining about whatever. So I didn't like the retcon. And I didn't like how it ended. I didn't like that no one clearly took the temple. What the orcs went on like Rambo or like Viet Cong, and we're just like, oh, we're just gonna hide out in the forest or whatever, which was logical, but it just didn't do it for me. You know, so that's what I have. Take it or leave it. That's my rating.
All right, I'm locking it in.
That rating. Yeah. Why would you say that? Why would you say that? Man, this one was perfect.
You're my friends.
You missed the boat, but you're your own man. I respect that.
So we got 3.83 stars for Fortress Orkmerica. Moving right on, we have the king of the Braunstein.
Let me go first on this one. Okay, I'm gonna go first on this one.
Did you read this one?
Let me go first on this one. Okay. This is big. This is a big deal. I didn't read this one. Give it 5 across the board and let him take it away because it was his Battle Braunstein and it was really long and I had a lot of homework. I will eventually go back and read this one. My tag partner, I promise you that. 5 across the board. But man, we had a lot to read. I was behind, and all the hosts wanted to talk to me about is this goofy graphic, and it was just taking up my day. So 5 stars across the board, and I will let the DM of the king of the Braunstein take it away and tell us what he thought about how his people acted, what he thought about how it was delivered. It sounded great. I liked that it was face-to-face, correct? This was actually face-to-face.
Yes, everything was face-to-face.
And you're going to have to actually explain, you're going to have to actually describe what it was, what happened, because the host is terrible. Take it away.
All right. Let me lay it out. I can't lay everything because there's going to be an actual, with my players episode of Dunder Moose. So I can't give you all the meat. I gotta say,
you guys got to come back here for the rich.
So, I'll let you get a taste. This thing was supposed to be 6 hours long. It was not going to be a 12-hour marathon game. As we started rolling, the players started figuring out what they were supposed to be doing, what was going on. Everyone at the end of it told me, I should have been more aggressive. Now, there were some things I did different than other people. Someone said they told people what the scores were. They kept the scores public. I did not like that. And I'll tell you why. If someone knows they're in the lead or what their score is, they get comfortable. I let everyone know what their score was privately on their own. But, I didn't tell the grand scope. And occasionally, if I felt like people were slacking, I'd be like, there's one person in first and there's two people in second. And they'd be like, whoa, am I in first? Am I in second? Am I even close? And it kept everyone guessing where they were. And it kind of gave them the oomph to do more. I live on a farm. So I had a lot of room. I had a bonfire set up outside. I had all the rooms of the farmhouse that everyone could talk in and meet. And at the beginning of each of the turns, which I had very structured, and the structure was key, but which I'll talk in a second, but you had to have the turn structure. I had to meet with everyone at the beginning of the turns. It was important because I wanted to have informational warfare available. I wanted people to be able to leak information or spread misinformation. So I wanted to make everyone convene, tell them the weather. Weather was important. And shout out to Mandolph. He was the one that gave me this idea with his Battle Braunstein because of flight. People that are flying, they got a huge advantage over people that don't have any flying. So there had to be some kind of limitation put on that. Let's get more into the ratings. Okay. Campaign integration and impact. We are playing our first session on this island. It was already set up in the campaign. It was getting kind of stale. Everyone's kind of like, oh, what do we do? Gunther died, who was leading us because he jumped in a pool in full armor, stupid shit. So everyone was kind of lost. So I was like, I need to get something to get people interested. And my campaign kind of takes place in like Mexico, Caribbean type feel. So I was like, I could just throw an island in there. It doesn't matter. So I made the island. If you noticed, I had 2 reports. I had a faction draft. Dorinal gave me a great review the other night on Geek Gab. I recommend listening to that. There were some things, though, that he said that could have been interpreted. I didn't read anyone else's Braunsteins except the ones I played in before I did it. So I wasn't aware that the people that did scoring did great and were on the same line as me. So the stream of consciousness is there. So people are picking on the same things, which is very interesting. The scoring I made kind of loose. I was like, listen, I wanted to do specific goals at first. And then I was like, nah, that's dumb because it's going to prevent people from combat. I didn't want anyone turtling up. There was the wish spell, which the gnomes were the ones that ended up winning. Mr. Fister was the player. He is now King Fister, King of the Gnomes, King of the Island. He is not a usual player. My players that come every week were not the winners. The one that occasionally comes was the one able to win. And I think it's because he less prepped, didn't think about it, just kind of went in with a clear mind and just went with the flow. And it made him come out on top. Now I went for 12 hours, only supposed to be 6. The reason it did is once it got to like midnight, I was like, okay, I think everyone's going to be done. I live like 45 minutes outside of St. Louis. Everyone's got to get back to town. And everyone's like, no, I want to see my plan through. And like, I deduced how long it would take, and it would take at maximum 10 turns. I think we got it done at turn 9 was the gnome's wish spell went off. So we got it done in 9. But everyone was determined. No one wanted to go. Everyone stayed up, pushed through it. And at the end of the night, it ended perfectly. There was the cherry on top with the wish. There were the 2 major battles at the end. Both could have went either way. There's a lot of stuff I have no idea that happened, which I think is common for every DM, because I didn't have time to listen to all the back deals and everything. I just had to record what was actually legitimately happening. And I know at the end of the night, all my players were coming in. They're like, I don't know who I should trust. I don't know if I should attack this guy. I don't know if I should attack this guy. This guy's telling me he's got troops here, but I don't know if he has troops there. And no one trusted each other in the end. So the fog of war was perfect. It was perfect. I couldn't have asked more for my players. So we're going to do a 6 for the rating, 5s down the board. It's a 6. There is not many marathon sessions I've heard about. This thing was awesome. Read the session reports. Watch the next video when I come back on Dunder Moose with some of my players. And my players, a lot of them aren't the traditional D&D players. A lot of them you wouldn't expect to play D&D. They're not those kinds of guys, which I think is important, because I'm trying to get this, I'm trying to expand this out. It's not just nerds. I was a kind of a nerdy kid. Always went to parties and shit, though. Always got out. And that's the people we want, because they're the people that are going to defend the hobby for us. And that's what I got to say.
I agree with that. And that's why I say a looser approach. Look at 5. It's a tie with the Fishtstein. I want to drop my rating down a little bit.
Too late. I locked it in, bro.
Son of a gun. If I'd have known he was going to give himself a 6, I would have done that.
I think you might even get a 7 on player engagement, because nobody had their players willing to go double the time.
Yeah,
right?
That's a fact.
It's like when they're like, no, we want to see this through. That is through the roof engagement.
Player engagement was definitely 5. Even if I changed my score, if I could, I would not drop that. But I think, like I said, the way you have things set up with kind of what I scrolled through, I read about, I don't know, I probably read like a quarter of the report. It seemed like there was a lot of notes on the session report itself. And was this a thing where you felt like you were kind of, you were just taking these orders and you were trying to really get them ground in, or were you kind of searching for where the action was?
So what I was doing was I wanted to document it so that I could show that the convergence just kind of happened on its own. So all these independent actions, these independent movements, some of them seemed stupid and ended up mattering. Like the tunnel, the stupid fucking tunnel that the ogres, if you didn't read the end, I ranked my players. I'm big on player ranking. I think I'm the only one that ranked their players. I almost gave my player a P rating. I gave him an F because the ogres were stupid. They were just hanging around the mountains and like, oh, we're going to dig an escape tunnel and we're just going to take the tunnel out. No, you're ogres. You're supposed to be smashing people. They set up a toll booth, and they got 3 gold from one scout. Then they left, and the scout came back with an army, and they could have got more gold. The goblins came up. There was so much more things he could have did. So I felt that was important too, and I would actually challenge people to rate their players with the Battle Braunsteins in the future as well.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I would like to go ahead and just take a breather on the rankings part, because we're about to blast through this. We're only a 54-minute. Usually Dunder Moose things go about 12 hours, like the King of the Battle Braunstein. But I just like to take a breather and just reflect what we've accomplished. Okay, listen to all this great engagement that we're getting. Listen to these campaigns. Jeffro said, and this is one of the things he talks about in his blog, and he told whoever that lady is, that he kind of lowered the bar because 1-to-1 time always on is hard. Okay, it takes elite gamers like a BDubs. Okay, not everyone can be at my level. which I appreciate. It's okay. I'm a main eventer. I'm beyond a main eventer. Not everyone can do that. So if you want to lower the bar down to have like a, another level of player that's a little bit lower, a mid-carder, even an undercarder, who's trying to climb the ranks, if you want to offer that to him, the Battle Braunstein brings that. And what occurred to me today, and this is amazing, I'll make a big claim here, right here, live on What is a Dunder Moose. Amazingly, Operation Muscle Thunder was in the Dubs Run campaign. It was a 1-to-1 time, sort of Braunstein-ish event done with 1-to-1 time. Okay? Brovenloft. We all know Brovenloft. Everyone knows Brovenloft. Everyone loves Brovenloft. It's why Dunder Moose is even here. He joined and was just wanted to be in the Bro SR because of Brovenloft. Big deal. Big thing. It hit the internet by storm. It made the Bro SR household name. Okay? All day. All this and all the other 1-to-1 downtime Braunsteins, they were actually only baby steps to really going all in on real D&D, which to me, which I've discovered through this, reading this stuff, seeing the excitement, playing it myself, real D&D is frequent session Braunsteins, battle Braunsteins, and even treating regular sessions as Braunsteins when your players demand it, when the story demands it, when your campaign demands it, when the excitement demands it. More often than not, everything doesn't have to be like, let's go in the dungeon. No. Okay? Bring some PvP. Bring it in there. Give stuff over to people. And you players, and I'm going to tease again what my challenge is, you players need to be thinking about a Braunstein all the time during your play. Stop just thinking, oh, we'll get in the dungeon, we'll get the ruby, we'll get out, we'll get some money. Boo. Boring. Lame. You are falling down the card. You're boring everyone. You're making your campaigns turn into just a big old mush of nothingness. Always be thinking about the Battle Braunstein, and my challenge is going to be about that to you players, because the DMs are stepping up. But what I'm seeing is the players are not stepping up as much as they should. Like he said, he gave an F to one of his players. I give an F to almost every player I see. It's exhausting dealing with some of these players. They need to step it up. The challenge is coming. Before the end of the What is a Dunder Moose podcast, you're going to hear exactly what the challenge is, and you better step it up or you're going to regret it because you're going to have some problems.
Night danger on the players deserve less. Good stuff, guys.
The night dangler, as I call him.
I'm really excited. I'm really excited for the thing B-Dubs has been teasing, because
I didn't even tell you. I didn't even tell my tag partner. My tag
Nobody
partner
knows
love
yet.
it. He doesn't
So
even
you
know.
gotta stick around to the end.
Just like Austin Theory brings out new moves, I'm bringing out a new challenge. You never know what he's going to hit you with a Frankensteiner.
Frankensteiner out of nowhere.
I do want to go back to Planet Tobor TV's comment. It says, you guys are doing the only thing for the hobby. This is the way gaming should have always been. And if you're watching this and you haven't been part of this kind of thing yet, and you're just like, what are these guys on about? I believe that the Bro SR is the razor's edge, the cutting edge, state of the art of the hobby. We are doing stuff that is mind blowing. And since I have gotten wrapped up with these rascals, I have played the kind of stuff that I never thought was possible. So I'm sorry, I stepped on what you were about to say there.
Bring up his comment one more time.
Okay.
There's a stream of consciousness. All right, you're okay. This guy right here. I love this comment. If you guys haven't read my tweets, you might have heard me refer to the loser SR. Loser SR are these OSR people that they're trying to sell you something. You always hear, oh, I've been playing for 40 years and all that. And half these guys, I don't think they're old enough that they even have been playing 40 years. Okay, just saying. Anyway, they want to sell you something. They just want to sell you something. Well, there was this doctor guy that was on Granger's show or whatever. And he's like, oh, I got this investment and all these gaming things, blah, blah, blah. You should be nice to corporations and Wizards of the Coast, blah, blah, blah. And these people are ruining the hobby. They're injecting dumb politics that I don't want to get involved in into the hobby. They want to do weird role plays, like homosexual role plays and shit. And I'm like, this is an adventure game, okay? I'm not into your erotic role play, okay? Listen, we are the backbone of this hobby now. I put all my stuff out for free. You know, I'm not expecting a dime. I don't even run ads on my website. I run it at a detriment. That's because I love the hobby. And I feel like that's where we should be getting our information, from people that love the hobby and are going to support it and defend it.
So this is why he's the tag partner. You see this? The guy's climbing the card. He's going to be main event any day. He has a 5.5 star Battle Braunstein through an error of mine where I didn't read it and hit him with some lower rankings. This is what we're talking about here. And we are the backbone of the hobby right now. We're the only ones that are relevant. Dr. Doolittle's not relevant. The BROSR is relevant.
BROSR drives the bus, as Kess says.
We drive the bus and we're hitting 88 miles an hour, buddy. We're going into the future.
1.21 gigawatts. Right on. Shall we get back to it?
Yes.
Let's go. Yeet.
Yeet. Next up, we have Scooter for Mike. Replaced This Is Dunder Moose for the mustache, for the shades, for the cool. And recently ran... Brian Renninger says, driving the porcelain box. I don't know. Brian just kills me. This guy. Anyway, on to the broken Duchy. That is Duchy. Hunger Games for the Scootifer. Mike, who wants to go first on this one?
I'll go first.
Hit it.
I'll just be honest. I did 3s across the board. You know, the guy had a good video. Walks the walk, talk the talk, love the mustache, love the look. But, you know, I read, so the video, you know, this promo, he cuts a legendary promo. I'm going to give it to him. This kid's got talent. When I read the write-up, it was kind of short, left something to be desired. The factions, you know, nothing really stuck out to me. Very, very average. Very average. 3s across the board. Love the guy, though. You know, better luck next time.
He's an up-and-comer. He just broke into the biz. We just drafted him to the undercard. He's climbing the rankings. He is going to get there. But I generally agree with my partner here. I will go through what I liked and disliked about this because I made a couple of notes. I liked that it was in person. Do these things in person. Get together with friends. Stop hanging out online. All of you are turning into computers, and we're going to have to have a butlerian jihad against you at some point because you are not seeing your friends. Do you have any friends? Get it together. I like that his Hunger Games style setup was really cool. It had the aristocrats. They were kind of brought in like to a war game thing where they're overseen by the bigger aristocrat. I thought that was pretty cool. And honestly, that was pretty cool because it gave me like a Chronicles of Amber kind of guide. I generally rate these things a little higher if I can hit them to Appendix N type things, if I can hook them into Appendix N, because that's what we're trying to do here is Appendix N type gaming. So I dug that. You had marriage alliances and stuff. That was really cool. So the gameplay itself on what the players were doing, it seemed like they were digging it. Okay. I think that this DM, Scooter for Mike, with his great look, okay, he's got a great look. Those sunglasses, just jamming. Why do I have to do a homie like that, Jeffro? Why does he have to do me like that, having me sit down and read a session report that just wasn't working, okay? It wasn't delivering. It didn't give the information, and he didn't put out a video soon enough. Now, if he had put out the video soon enough with his sunglasses and his cool shirt and everything, his little map, I'd probably give him a big ranking because I like that. I like promos. That's what I'm all about, okay? Most of the best wrestling is done with the mic. So those are the things I like. Dislikes. Didn't seem like there was enough PvP going on. I don't know. Maybe I misread what I was looking at. It seemed like most of these wargamer aristocrats were sending their armies to go take NPC stuff, like take this orc lair, to make points on the mountain or whatever. I don't know. That doesn't work for me. I know my partner here. He had one where you got points based on holding a hex or something. It seems like everyone kind of went in that direction. That's not working for me. I don't think I'll ever run a Battle Braunstein of that style. It just doesn't. It's too kind of board gamey for me. I'm not digging it. I'm not playing Settlers of Catan. I'm playing D&D.
Oh, gosh.
So that's kind of my general stance on taking like a. I do enough of this junk where in 1-to-1 time, because I run Dubs Run every day. These guys are asking me to do stuff, and I'm always running like I take the Orc lair and then I have to adjudicate it. I don't want to do that when I'm doing a Battle Braunstein. Okay, I want them to fight each other. I want them to attack each other, not this land stuff. Now, maybe I'm misunderstanding, but like I said, his session report left a lot to be desired. So maybe I'm missing something because his information wasn't good. And I'm not asking for every line by line, day by day thing. Okay, I'm just asking for tell me where the hits were, tell me where it dovetailed, tell me where the red kegger was. But so those are my likes and dislikes. So I'm gonna go ahead and go through my rankings. The campaign integration is 2 stars. I don't even know if there's a campaign. I couldn't really work it out. 2-star with campaign integration. It seems like this aristocrat thing was just kind of made up out of nowhere, and it's like, here's a bunch of NPCs that no one's ever heard of. I didn't catch, unless I'm mistaken, that these were NPCs that have been developed during real campaign play. This stuff needs to be during real campaign play. Player engagement, 5 stars. These people were pumped. They were pumpity pumped. They were loving it. They were hitting them up. They're texting them every day. I think they text them in the middle of the night to ask them if they can attack some orc or something. So the player engagement's there. So even when you run it, in my opinion, poorly, you get great player engagement with the Battle Braunstein.
Man.
Okay? So that's terrific. The factions, I give it 3 stars. Okay? A bunch of nobles. I couldn't make out one noble from the next. There wasn't enough dark lines, around the coloring book on that for me to kind of work out who is who in the session reports. Again, it's possible these things were amazing in real life and he just couldn't really portray it. It's sometimes hard to take this stuff and explain it to a reader like me who has to read like 7 of these stinking things before Dunder Moose shows up and does no prep whatsoever. So maybe that's
no prep, baby.
But I did like, once again, the Chronicles of Amber style nobles. I like it. This kind of like manipulating aspect in the Hunger Games thing. They're in this keep. I dug that manipulation aspect that I think that they were all doing to each other. I think that was pretty cool on the factions. But in the reading of the session report, none of the factions really jumped out at me. They all kind of blended together, kind of like the Caravaner stuff. Mm-hmm. So lock it in.
Lock it in, you dirty dogs. You ne'er-do-wells. These are our friends.
Good.
Yeah, our friends can handle objective truth, okay? That's why we're here. If they can't handle objective truth, get out of the BROSR right now.
3.17 stars. All right.
Look, that's still good. That's still Dusty Steamboat.
Yeah, that
level.
is.
Yeah,
that
that's
is
still
still good,
3,
All right. Next up, we had Saint Dude Del. I think it's Cediabades. I don't know if I'm saying that right.
This is the last one, right? That we had.
I believe it is. Yes.
This is the last one I read. So
this one was a 2-parter. The first part he sets up how he set it up and was going to run it, and the second part was the actual running of it. So it's got 2 titles: Blood in the Streets, BROz N the HooD. And who wants to go first?
I'll take it.
Scooter points out that he beat me.
You take it away, Dubs.
I'll take it away. I know I talked a lot on the other one, but I'll take it away here on the Blood in the Streets. I will point out first he name dropped me multiple times. He's thanking B-Dub. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I don't get enough credit for all the things I do for the BROSR. This whole thing is happening because of me and an offhand comment, because that's how important I am to the BROSR. Am I the 3rd most important person in RPG history? I think that probably goes to Jeffro, but I may even be the 2nd, because this Arneson guy is boring. Everyone's tired of talking about him. I think I might outpace Jeffro on that. So what did I like about the BROz N the HooD? Once again, our terrible host didn't explain anything about anything except who's this guy's name. He's just absolutely worthless. The campaign is the Landsknecht, I think. I couldn't pronounce it, but the general concept of this one, the BROz N the HooD concept is fantastic. Okay, You have all these guys doing all this stuff with armies and war games and all this stuff. And then this guy went in a whole different direction. And he's doing like a street fight in the cities. It's like the Warriors or something. It's cool. It's a cool idea. I love the concept. I like that they're fighting in the streets. I actually didn't really know when this was happening or if it was online or not or anything. I wanted to, because it's Waterdeep, I wanted actually to bring back Dawn Age Pervert, which was my patron that I ran, one of the very first patrons ever, which is Bronze Age Pervert with a bunch of dinosaurs. So that was fantastic. That's why patrons exist. So you guys say, oh, Chanticleer and patrons. No, it was me. Chanticleer had the idea. I delivered a fantastic patron that was so interesting and cool that everyone was like, well, we have to do patrons, clearly, because B-dubs is amazing. So the fight in the streets of Waterdeep, taking districts and stuff, I really wish I would have been in this one and brought Dawn Age to it. I didn't reach out to the DM. I didn't try to do it. It's not his fault. That's on me. I should have reached out and see if it was something I could have jumped into. So I'm not going to hit him with anything on that. What I did like, I liked the factions because they were simple. We're going back to the Appendix N, simplicity, but clear, distinct lines between who these factions are, what they want. Now, one problem, in my opinion, was there was just too many. There's pilgrims, there were rakes. I like this one. He just went to the 1E DMG city encounters. And rakes are like drunken gentleman fighters. That's great. I love that as a faction idea. That would be a great night of city adventuring in a session, but then you make that into a faction and you've got yourself something really cool. You're cooking with gas. You got tradesmen, werewolves, Rakshasa, which are I think those tiger people or something, and then beggars, merchant, illusionist, were-rat. I don't know how he ran all these. Maybe I misread the session report and those weren't all factions. Maybe they were NPCs. I'm not sure. But I like that he name dropped me multiple times. I love that it was an urban city crawl kind of thing. My dislike, 5e, loss of a star. Don't run 5e. 5e is terrible. No one should ever run 5e. No one should ever own 5e. No one should ever look at 5e. Don't do it. Don't give WotC your money. They are terrible. That corporation deserves to grind into the dust and go into non-existence forever. All of the books should be collected, put in a big pile, set on fire. That would be the only true way to deal with WotC and 5th edition. The ones that have pundit's name in it could be like burned first. That would be great too.
Yeah.
So campaign integration, 4 stars. It's the city of the campaign itself. This was very well integrated. Okay. This is the campaign. This is where he runs his campaign. It is a 5e campaign, which is a shame, but that's where they play. What happens with these factions impacts the players. It impacts the campaign state. It's going to be a big deal to that campaign for sure. Player engagement, I gave that 3 stars. Based on what I read of this really, really long kind of log, there's two pages of it, which is a lot. I'm guessing the other players were probably annoyed waiting on the Rakshasa player, who apparently did a lot more actions than everyone else. So I feel like the engagement probably fell down a lot. They're waiting on this guy to do like a bazillion moves where he split all his forces in 10 different places. So I think the player engagement probably was mid-ish on that one. And the factions, I think there were too many unless I misread what actually he did. Like I said, this is always a possibility on these session reports. I give that one 4 stars. It was a nice mix of like weird-ish city stuff, but there was also some sort of like not particularly interesting ones that really stuck out to me as well. So, and then that one's for me. And then I'm going to just overall, I'm going to give it a -0.5 star for the session report, not really synthesizing down to the story for me to follow. It was just a big log. It didn't it didn't tell me the dovetail. It didn't give me the red kegger. It didn't give me the wet wedding. It didn't tell me where this was all going. So just overall, I'm bump it down a 0.5 star after it rates.
All right. Locking it in, and we're moving on over to Robert the Heel. What was your take on the BROz N the HooD?
Okay, I think so. The chat says I don't like ones that I'm not in. I actually really like this one though. So again, I'm proving them wrong. I'll put what I wrote for notes. I didn't realize it was 5e. That was not in my notes. I put it was too short. Listen, you're talking a guy that did 12 hours. What was it, 2 or 3 hours long? That's too short, man. That's barely a steam, you know. And, you know, I'm a real big fan of edgy humor. And I don't think it was conveyed in the session report, but I have a feeling there was a lot of edgy humor in here, but I could only rank it off of what I perceived was in there. So let's go with integration. I gave 4 out of 5. You have the city. It's, you know, based off Waterdeep. He had the maps out there. Easily you can play off these factions and players could engage with them. I like that. Player engagement, I gave 5 out of 5. You know, I felt like they were having fun doing hood rat shit. You know, there's not much more I can ask for from what they're doing. And for factions, I did 4 out of 5. Again, I knew there was probably some more edgy stuff going on, but I couldn't determine it. I like the pimp, even though I don't think that was a faction. And I like that he had rules for the pimp, bringing the harlot table into the game. That's what I like to see. That is my ranking. I really enjoyed this one. He did reference me in it, which I also like too, but that did not go into my score.
Right on. All right, I'm going to lock it in. And wow, we got 3.92 for the BROz N the HooD.
Well done, BROz N the HooD.
Well
done, guys.
Interesting and unique. That's what we like.
That was our last one. Maybe before we get to the big announcements, we could talk some advice for people that want to do this. I feel like some of these things you can try to do what you can to affect it, and some of it, I don't know, like player engagement. How much do you guys, as two DMs who've run these things and now taken your time to evaluate a bunch of them, how much do you think player engagement is up to you versus depending on these moments of convergence that naturally spawn, but you can't force it? B-dubs, I'll have you go first.
All right, I'll go first. I forced mine a little bit. The Fishtstein was a little bit forced, and we talked about this last time, so I'm not going to just reevaluate the whole thing, but I had some NPCs that I was interested in to see what they did as a way of feeling like they took a town in session play 6 to 8 months previously in a way that I found to be a little bit too easy. So players were kind of controlling this town, and it really felt like they kind of just like just roughshod over me, you know, to take it, you know, in regular session play. So for me, I was like, okay, well, let's rewind this a little bit and give you a challenge. So you can kind of force it, but here's the deal. Waiting on the player engagement is better than forcing it.
Ah, okay.
And I'll let you read Brian Renninger's thing here, since you decided to drop it while I'm talking to interrupt me very rudely.
We got a super chat. We got
yeah, did you make $2 on that? Yeah,
I'm not monetized at all.
Right,
question on the in-person Braunsteins: was any beer involved?
Yeah,
not
heavily.
Not in mine.
And everything. Yeah.
Not in mine. I ran mine on.
I want to answer.
Yeah, you
I want to answer the question now. I want to answer the question now. It was a long question. I don't think I got the full gist of it, so I'm going to answer how I think it needs to be answered. If the players aren't interested or invested, it's how do I put it? I set up the faction draft, and I felt that was really important because originally I was going to give a preset faction, everything, blah, blah, blah. And I realized that no one cares if I just hand them a piece of paper, like a menu, and go, this is what you have, like, have fun. I decided to pick out of the monster manual what options would be, put them on index cards, shuffled them, and then everyone, by order of whichever they showed up, they got to pick the card, and that's the faction they got. And then I made them roll everything out of the monster manual themselves.
Okay.
And I felt this was essential to literally be like, okay, I have this. And they start thinking, making connections, and it gets them more engaged. And then there could have been more memeing involved with the factions, but my players didn't understand it fully. They picked up on it, but not until the game was just about to start. But they started caring more. And then I took a shout out to Cass, took a note out of Cass's book, did the land grab. Again, the land grab was something that got players engaged. When they were coming up with their factions, I had a player be like, "Oh, I'm kobolds, well, they have to be in the dark, so I guess I like I'm in a swamp or something where it started." And this stuff started coming out. So I took all their, they're like, "Oh, the ogres, they're like based off, weebs or Japs or whatever." And I was like, "Well, it's already an island." I was like, "Well, let's put some steps like they're Mongolians or some shit." That basically came out of what the players were thinking. And then I took all that together, made the map, and then they picked where in their section they wanted to be on the map. And I felt that built the engagement. There wasn't a research phase, which I did like and was thinking about doing. That was Mike's, I believe, Braunstein that did that. That was a good idea. I didn't really have the engagement, and I could have did it, but the problem was two of my players are very based, and they don't get on Discord or do any of that. So I felt like, I couldn't tell them or communicate it with them, and I didn't do it because I felt like it would have been an unfair advantage for the players that were able to do it. And if anyone joined last minute, which there was a possibility someone could have joined last minute, again, it would have kind of, ruined, or, they would have been left out of that. So I kept it that way. But player engagement is important. Get them interested before the game starts.
Right on, man. Cass says land grab is gold because it already fosters competition between the factions. I wanted that hex, but this guy beat me to it. I will destroy him. So my next question was, you kind of already touched on it. The factions, how important are they? How important does the faction? What does it have an outsized impact on those moments of convergence and that player engagement? One of the things you said earlier was about the one being only 2 hours. Maybe that's not enough time for one of these convergences to happen naturally, and so that might hurt engagement. You said you kind of handed out cards for factions, which is kind of like pre-gens, Jeffro noted. But by letting them roll the size, that's when they start to invest in there. Is there any other ideas that you guys have about how you could use the factions to make the players get more excited about it?
I want to jump in here and point out that, like I said, the original Trollopulous Braunstein won one time, downtime Braunstein, and Operation Muscle Thunder, and even the entirety of Brovenloft, as amazing as it was, as baby steps. And this is more proof of it, because in the original Trollopulous Braunstein, not Battle Braunstein, but one-to-one time, kind of downtime Braunstein, where we're messaging Jeffro all day and keeping him from sleeping, we were directed to go to the monster manual and roll things up. It's sort of like a thing that Kursova likes to bring up. Alexander from Kursova likes to bring up, that people ask him, "Oh, those cavemen, those were terrific. The caveman faction is so cool. Can you make it into a module? Can you write up?" It's the caveman entry in the monster manual. Okay, you roll it up. Chaz, you look at Chaz, the patron, my patron, the greatest patron in Trollopulous history. He controls a faction of elves. Guess what those elves are? They're just the monster manual entry. I just rolled them up. That's it. It's that simple. But you are correct that drives player engagement, because I had to sit there for 2 hours and do it. Well, not 2 hours. It was off and on. It probably took me an hour total. But I had to make the notes. I had to get it over to the DM. I've since lost Chaz's information. I don't know where it is. It's in a Google Doc somewhere, hiding. But it doesn't matter, because Chaz always wins anyway. But the point is, you win when you get player engagement, and you make them roll it. You make them roll it, and that will make them have engagement, because they'll roll up and go, "Oh my goodness, this guy has a crystal ball. My sub chief has a crystal ball. Okay, let's go. I can work with that." That's the kind of stuff you're going to get when you roll it up out of the monster manual. So the monster manual itself is like a Battle Braunstein creation machine, and 1E monster manual does that for sure. The Axe Monster Manual does it too. It does it a little bit different, has kind of a different approach, but it works in Axe as well. Every other game system can get thrown on the fire with anything that pundits ever written. So
I
what
feel
was the
like-
question?
No, you nailed it. That was exactly right. I feel like Jeffro has spent years now telling us what to do, and people always come back to him and say how. And it's like, not to quote crafty Matt, but it's all the rules are in the books. You keep asking him how, he's going to tell you, read the DMG, read the player's
Read
handbook.
that son of a gun DMG. Read the Yeet manual.
Right on, man.
So what do we? What else? What other questions you got? Because we actually finished early. We got through all those. Look at us. We're like speed demons. We're
Well, if the host would have read them, maybe it would have took longer.
That would have taken longer if you actually would have said what these were. So everyone who's listening to this right now, we're very sorry. You need to go back and read all these session reports.
So you say that now, but you know that if I had given every one of them an intro, you'd have been like, that was the boringest crap I ever sat through.
Well, it's because that you talk so verbosely and your voice kind of is monotone and drones on. You can't cut a promo. Your hat looks ridiculous. Your like mustache is like half in.
Speaking of which, so here's my hat. This is my BROz DM hat. For those of you watching, June is upon us. I'm going to take that band off because I have not run a Battle Braunstein yet. And so if you weren't on this show, chances are that you are out like me of the BROSR, unable to use the hashtag. You're out.
Get out. Get out your profile.
Get them out.
There may be people that got a Braunstein in and we just didn't pick up on it for the show. So you guys get in on a technicality, but fear not. Your homework is you need to get in. So run a Battle Braunstein, post it. A BROSR bro blogs receipts, right?
Oh yes, sir.
So you got to do that. I'm not trying to steal thunder because I know B-Dubs has a big announcement, but I also have an announcement.
Do it.
And B-Dubs is going to be in on this. I saw a LinkedIn, or not LinkedIn. It was a Twitter tweet. Someone was asking, please show me how to do this. And for those of you watching this episode, it's out there. You can read and see how people are doing it. You can watch this and see how it's getting judged. But I had an idea, and it was an idea that was probably not as encouraged as it could have been because it might be a horrible idea, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm committed to it. A wise man once told me, do something nobody's ever done and then crow about it on social media. And so I am going to put together a Battle Braunstein that is made up primarily of YouTube streamers. And we're going to hold it live on the air. You can pick whichever faction you're most interested in and watch it live on their channel. If for some reason that's not enough for you and you need more, you can go back and watch it on another channel. If you watch it on my channel, I'm going to be the DM. I'm going to have a co-DM or two, depending on who I can talk into doing it. But we got some big names lined up. It is going to be very hard to pull off. So I'm almost hesitant to read out the names. I can say who's interested, not necessarily that they're going to be able to take part. But we're talking Gelatinous Rube. We're talking Mr. Wargaming. We're talking R-Dubs. We're talking World of Worth. We are talking Dorino. I know I'm forgetting a few. So all that to say, I don't want to tease you and have it different than what I'm saying, but like big names, like people that are way more entertaining to watch than I am, are going to be involved with this.
True.
And we're going to try it. It may crash and burn, but you will no longer be able to say no one showed me. We're going to pull the curtain all the way back, and you're going to see how this works, and you will be fully empowered to run this stuff for yourself and earn your own hashtag BROSR in the profile, just like everybody on this channel just did. Everyone that we reviewed, whether they got 5.5 stars or whether they got 3.5 stars or less, they've all earned their stripes in a way that we've not. So let's do this. And that was my big announcement.
You forgot the most important person participating in this Battle Braunstein Battle Royale. for
Yes.
the fate of Trollopulous.
That's
My
right.
friend,
It's in Trollopulous.
You didn't even mention that. You
I didn't. I'm bad at this stuff, man.
really need to learn how to cut a promo, watch some promos, start watching WWE like me and Robert were telling you. Jeffro Johnson says, I did the dumbest thing in BROz history, quote unquote. This will be terrible. But do you want to tune in and see the train wreck, the car crash, the madness, the fireball? Because guess what? Coming to the Dunder Moose Battle Braunstein for the fate of Trollopulous, as Brian Ringer calls it, maximize dumbness, cannot fail. What we have happening is you can climb the card. In the BROz, you can climb the card. Dunder Moose got into the BROz. How did he? He said, man, I'd love to play in Trollopulous. Guess what? He's played in Trollopulous. He's played in Who's Caresville. He's done it all. He's been there. He's seen the sights. He's fought the monsters. He's been in Battle Braunsteins. He's handled all the greatness that is the BROz. He's watched Robert the Heel Stevens win the original first Battle Braunstein. And also, guess what? He came in as a newcomer. He's climbed the card. And not only is he playing in Trollopulous, he will soon be DMing Trollopulous. Can any of you say that about any of the campaigns you've ever been in that were not BROz? You cannot say that because those campaigns suck. They're lame. They're weak. They're pathetic. They stay in the dark matches, they stay in developmental, and they never get out of it. You don't even get onto NXT, nothing. Pathetic, weak, and sad. But what you've got right now, you've got DM Dunder Moose is coming. He's coming to run a Battle Braunstein for the fate of Trollopulous. And guess what? He left out the best person participating in it. It will be Chaz. Chaz the elf is going to come, and he's going to take the Ruby Throne. Because that throne is on the line for 4 years.
That's right. Not only is Chaz in it, indirectly, the Irish Candyman from Broken Lock has already put his thumbprint on the area surrounding the city of Trollopulous that has been covered by a force dome shaped like a Hershey kiss. And on the Niggly Wiggly, you see nothing but shamrocks. And for those of you that thought I just used a slur, that's actually what the piece of paper is called in the center of a Hershey kiss. So
get your mind out of the gutter.
Let's just get that.
Cancel Dunder Moose. Finally. It's my third time on this channel. If he's not canceled, I'm going to start questioning my own bona fide.
Jeffro says if Chaz doesn't end up on the throne, then the whole game is fake.
It will be rigged. Rigged. Yeah. I tell you.
But like, you guys I don't have to tell you how much this means to me. Like, to put, like, reading the Trollopulous session reports was, to me, what I've heard a lot of people say Critical Role is to them, as far as like watching it and fanning for it and stuff. And like, picture if you were a fan of such a thing.
Couldn't be me.
I know. I saw that. That's beautiful.
Wiggly. Picture if you that's like going to the ball game and having them go, oh, the pitcher threw out his arm, and they look in the stands and they're like, hey, you want to come, take over for Verlander or whatever, like it is. I'm probably going to fail just as much as the fan would, but it is such an honor to come in as a fan, get to know these guys, try to bring all of this magic to you guys through this channel, and then get a chance to take part like this. It's very humbling, and I'm really excited about it. So I don't know what else to say other than let's move on. B-Dubs, are you ready to like drop it on us? The next challenge, the last challenge that you dropped, kind of changed the face of the game. I don't know where Robert just went.
He's gone off to do another shoey.
Oh man,
I'm guessing. I don't know. There he is.
He's gonna get athlete's epiglottis, I'm afraid.
I don't know what that means, and this is why you're still in the undercard. Say things that make sense, that make people hyped, not things that make them go.
He's like on NXT Level Up, the one I don't watch. You know what I mean? It's the only one I don't watch because it's on Friday and you have SmackDown on. Like, it's the one where you don't even know who's on there. If you're on there, you're probably dead in the water.
Yeah, I'm gonna make my announcement.
About epiglottis, huh?
Yeah, I'm going to make my announcement now, but before I make my announcement, let's just say that my friend here, my tag partner, Robert the Heel Stevens, he delivered. He's an up-and-comer. He's climbing the card. He's going to be main event any day now. He might be. He's doing a couple main event matches here and there. He just fought Edge, just like Grayson Waller did back before Edge went over to the inferior product. But he is here, my friend, and he's ready to do it. You need to listen to him. You see him, he looks like a complete goof. He looks like he's out here. He's out of crazy. He's drunk as hell. But then you read his session report. And it's like, it's so clear. It's so straight up. And that is the Irish way, my friend. We look like we're insane, but we're actually smart as hell. That's how we do it. That's how we roll, and we do it all day. So let me make my challenge right now. Are you guys ready for this? Because like I said, player characters on the whole, including in the BROz, generally speaking, in my opinion, but objectively speaking, are terrible. They are the worst, and they don't even bring it. They don't bring it at all. All the DMs that we just talked about, 3 stars, 4 stars, 5 stars, great. Even the ones that got like 3 stars, and I'm like, I don't know what this guy's doing. I don't know what he's talking about. Their players are worse than them. They suck. They need to get it together. Now, do I mean every one of them? No. There's probably a good one here, there, whatever. But they're not stepping up. I don't know. Generally speaking, when you show up to a session as a player, you're going to be like, there's 5 guys here, and like one of them is not a concussion victim. Okay? That's what you're generally going to see. And it's exhausting. It is exhausting. And then you talk to them about, the Battle Braunstein. Oh, I want to have some PvP. And they're looking at you like they're looking at you like they're lost in space. Okay? Their eyes are crossing. They're zoned out. They're eating a crayon. Okay? These players don't know what they're doing. They don't know what real D&D is. But guess what? What we learned, and you can go to Jeffro's Gaming Spacey blog. Check it out. He's been putting blogs up lately. What is he saying? What's he saying? What's he saying that is really moving the needle right now? It's really rocking the boat. It's really getting it. That made me go, whoa, dude. I talk to you every day. But this occurred to me. Like, what's up? Is the Braunstein is axiomatic to D&D. What does it mean, axiomatic? It's a big word. $5 word. I'm pretty smart. I can do these words. I don't usually do that. Like Dunder Moose wants to throw out these words to make everyone bored and confused while he adjusts his little hat. But I'm using this word because it actually matters. It's axiomatic, meaning what? D&D is a Braunstein. Okay. Well, that's a great claim. All these years, broke. D&D's a war game. No. Okay. Broke. Okay. Boring. Soaring. D&D's a Braunstein. That's what's up. These things need to happen. It's axiomatic. So here's my challenge. You players need to get in the game. Your DMs are working too hard. Your DMs are falling over themselves to deliver good games to you, and you are letting them down almost all the time. It's exhausting. I'm tired of seeing it. I want better play from these players. I want better play from PCs. I want Braunstein play from these PCs. Get along, gang. It's got to get out of here. It's got to get along down the road. It's exhausting. Get the get along gang out. Move it on. So here is the challenge. I'm calling it the Elite PC Challenge. The Elite PC Challenge. Did Dubs just say that he is smart? Yes, I am, Lion of the Morning. I'm very smart. You can drop that in there, Dunder Moose, on the video if you want. I'm very smart, and I know what's a problem here. We have good DMs. We have good to great DMs. We have 3-star to 5.5-star DMs. We just proved it. Do we have 3-star to 5.5-star player characters? Really? Have you guys been in some of these games? I've been in some of these games. I've been in a lot of these games. 150 sessions in a Dubs run. We do not have 3 to 5.5-star player characters. So we need to get them in. I'll use smaller words for Lion in the Morning. So what we need to do is the Elite PC Challenge. And here's how it's going to work. Every PC in a BROz campaign must report by July 4th. We're doing the birth of the country, July 4th, baby. Yankee Doodle Dandy is happening. July 4th is your date, the end of that day. So you have until then to make this happen. What are you going to make happen? Let's talk about it. What you're going to make happen is you need to report how your PC, one of your PCs, if you have a few of them, has helped instigate, seed, or whatever a Battle Braunstein in that PC's campaign. You need to get on Twitter and say, how did I push this Battle Braunstein? How did I make it happen? What did I do the instigating event? Was I part of the instigating event? Okay? In session. I don't want to hear about your downtime junk. Okay? Downtime's easier. Oh, I went and poked the bear of this faction leader. Okay? So I want to hear about that by July 4th on Twitter. If you have a Twitter account. If you don't have a Twitter account, you need to go to your DM and say, hey, I did do this. Do you remember that? And the DM, who needs to be on Twitter, if you're BROz DM, you come and say, yeah, my player did it. I'm going to tell you about it. I want to hear these stories. We need to hear these stories.
Right.
We need to hear them. And here's the deal. If your campaign hasn't had a Battle Braunstein yet, or one of your PCs wasn't part of the instigating event, maybe you weren't a reason for the BROz N the HooD. Maybe you weren't a reason for the Fishtstein. Maybe your PC had no, he didn't push the Battle Braunstein at Who's Caresville. Maybe your PC wasn't involved in the Machodor Bandit Mountains. Maybe these things didn't happen. But you can come and talk about how you have pushed the next Battle Braunstein that's coming to your campaign as a PC in session. That's what I want to hear. That's what I want to see. I want to see it by July 4th to celebrate the birth of our nation, the United States of America. And if you don't, you get docked 15% XP for your next 4 sessions after July 4th.
Oh, snap.
But if you do, you get a bonus 15% XP in your next 4 sessions after July 4th. So you're going to have a sweet July, a sweet August if you get out there and talk about what you've done for your campaign for Battle Braunsteins. Now, why am I doing this? Why does this matter? Why does it matter? It matters because D&D is a Braunstein. You need to always be thinking about the Braunstein. You always be thinking about the faction. You need to always be thinking about PvP and why it matters and where it is. Stop thinking about my paladin likes the cleric. Okay? My thief is going to go along with the cleric because I like the cleric because we all adventured together. It's boring. I'm so tired of the get along gang. I'm so tired of those stories. Enough with the fellowship of the foolishness. Okay? Enough.
Can we share something that happened in Machodor the last time we played in Trollopulous?
You share it up. I was there and I want to hear it from you so I can take a breath and a drink.
All right, go for it. Here's what happened. We have a player named Sneaky Pete, played by one Mr. Brian Renninger.
It's Slippery Pete.
Slippery Pete. Thank you. I don't know why. I thought he was sneaky.
I'm the one drinking here.
All right, anyway. What would how would you define Slippery Pete's play up until this point?
Oh, how would I define it?
Yes.
So Brian Renninger is a Class A, Class S, if you include that player. He knows how to play. He knows how to make it interesting. Any character he is just golden. So he's been playing Slippery Pete, who is
thief,
an unsavory character, as some would say. Some would say he's very sneaky, and because of his antics, he doesn't really have the best graces of some of the party members. Though Seamus likes him, he's probably around with Seamus enough. But yeah,
Brovenloff happened last October, and my character Bumblebore was with him when he came into possession of a hat of disguise. And even though Slippery Pete is going up in levels, sometimes he won't show up. But we'll see a fighter, a new level 1 fighter, will show up that's never wanting to stand in the front line. And this is so funny. Brigandine has a sword that can cast detect magic. And he cast it and he tried to turn in a circle because it's a ray that shoots straight forward. And our new fighter friend just stayed behind him and just walked in a circle so that the beam wouldn't hit him. He's not above stealing from the party. Brian says, I had to prove that jerk Twitter wrong about thieves. A lot of people were harshing thieves and saying, hey, they're the weakest party. They are PC. They can't level up. So it's not uncommon for us to be in a big fight for our lives and for Slippery Pete to sneak away. And then as soon as we kill the monsters, he comes around the corner holding all the treasure that he found in their lair, going, hey, guys, here's all the loot, and gives it to us. And you know he might have skimmed off the top. Night Danger, the real Battle Braunstein is the friends we backstabbed along the way. Exactly right. Well, so this comes to a head. The last Thursday, Slippery Pete has come into, well, by dint of winning Macho's Battle Braunstein, he got a free level. That was what was the stakes for the Machodor Battle Braunstein. And so now he's got a thief who's level 6 and has some money socked away and doesn't need to spend it on leveling. And he's like, I'm going to start Slippery Pete's Home for Wayward Children or whatever it's called.
I think it's a workhouse. Either way, it's a great idea.
He never stole from the party. You can't prove anything. Macho's coming to his. I don't think he's ever stolen #asterisk from the party. Anyway, Brigadine is a player of a ranger, and he plays him very well as well. Sever is probably one of the most alpha characters I've ever played alongside. He's got a Pegasus. He's got the most magical sword I've ever seen, and he has a short temper for Pete's shenanigans. Well, Pete wasn't with us. We had a new player, a level 1 wizard by the name of Petrov. Petrov, the prestidigitator.
Rest in peace, ×2.
And everyone was sure that Petrov was Slippery Pete with his hat, making him look like a wizard. He hung in the back in the fight. He tried to sneak around behind the enemies. He didn't cast any spells. And my poor guy, Bumblebore had like dug through this nasty creature that we'd fought that was like, it was shaped like a pyramid and covered in like these tentacles. I think you call him a roper. And just by dissecting the guts, I was trying to find magical potion ingredients, but I actually found some jewels. And then we walked through a room, and something invisible bumped into me, and the jewels were gone. And everyone immediately suspected Petrov, the prestidigitator. And we were like, show us your spell book so that we know you're an actual magic user. We cast Detect Magic on him. Only the spell book registered as magic. Everything seemed legit. Brigadine became convinced that he was a level 1, but that the real Slippery Pete was following us, having imbibed a potion of invisibility.
And he did have the Unseen Servant spell.
Yes,
too.
That was one of the ones that
also raised a lot of suspicion when we saw a spell book and we saw Unseen Servant.
Trump was trying to defend himself. Brian's like, all I have are these 3 spells, and one of them's an Unseen Servant. He's like, oh, that's not good. Well, anyway, they start arguing, and I can't remember what started it, but he made a comment about Sever's wisdom score. And Sever was like, that's it. I throttle him.
Yeah, I started it.
Yeah. So, and he was like, I'm laying hands on this man. I do not care. Like, we're in the middle of a dungeon now. He was so mad about those jewels.
Giant birds. There were giant birds. We're about to get into combat, and he just starts strangling. He just starts strangling.
The birds are just like backing away, like, whoa, what's going on? So for those that maybe aren't up on the strangulation rules in 1E, if you want, you can subdue someone so that only a percentage of your damage is actually physical, and the rest of it is just like wear them out kind of damage, right? Like, it doesn't kill them, it just passes them out. Well, when a jacked ranger lays hold of a level 1 wizard, even the scant percentage of actual damage was beyond his hit point.
And it was enough to kill him. It was enough to kill him.
Briggs strangled him to death. Just choked the life out of him. Just snapped his neck like a twig. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh crap. You are a lawful good ranger that just murdered your fellow adventurer, and losing his ranger status and just getting busted back down to fighter was on the line.
It was so funny. It was like the Undertaker has this story where this guy's like, oh, I didn't want to go to court. I need the Undertaker to like hurt me. So he tombstoned him off the mat, like onto the concrete, and messed the guy up. And he messed him up so bad he didn't have to go to court, but he was like injured for like however long. And he didn't mean to hurt him that bad, but it was like that. But instead of like hurting him bad, he just killed him.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. Well, that's a fun story, and I was actually the instigating event, and it would be forgotten if I didn't actually just say that just now. And but I asked you. I was the one that started talking about wisdom, but Dunder Moose, I'll ask you, how does that relate to my challenge? How does it relate to my challenge? How does that relate to pushing a Battle Braunstein? Did you just want to tell that story and waste all these people's time? Or
no, I wanted, well, first of all, the story was hilarious, and I don't know about you guys, but I laughed until I had a headache at that one. The point is,
last Thursday, I've moved on. How does this relate to the Battle Braunstein?
The point is, you have an elite character who sets up PvP within a party who has an interest in getting through the delve, to the point where one of them, who usually is our caller, was so beside himself with range, he had to throttle the life out of that character. And it wasn't even that character's fault. It was blowback from Brian's other character, who is playing at such a level.
Yeah, he's playing at elite level because he's even thinking fourth wall of player controlling a PC. And it was very funny. I was there. I laughed until I collapsed and actually went to sleep in the middle of the session. But let's move on to...
Well, my point is the stakes were high because he's building this whole domain on the side. Even though he's level 6, he's got enough money to build an asset that he could use either as a player or as a faction in a Braunstein. And when you have players that are committed and have those kind of ideas and know the rules, the PvP stuff can invent itself. I guarantee Macho was not planning on adjudicating that.
Well, I said that night, and people thought I was being sarcastic, that this is the best group of players that I've seen in one place. I wasn't being sarcastic.
Yeah.
I'm legitimate, because the players overall, percentage-wise, most of them are thinking in terms of this Battle Braunstein stuff and D&D as a Braunstein. So that's what I'm talking about here. So now let's go back to my challenge. You got the 15% bump in XP if you do it. You got a 15% dock if you don't. Look,
right.
Can we make the dock more? Can we make the dock more?
No, I'm going to make it long. You want to be more or longer?
What do you want? Dock to be more than the reward. Like it should be like 20, minimum 25 for the dock.
I love it. 25% dock if you don't do it. 15% bonus if you do. And we're going to stick with 4 sessions. I was going to extend the sessions based on what Night Ranger said in the chat, but he's not my tag team partner. This man here is Robert the Heel Stevens with his pale, made of milk body. So let's continue.
Banger after banger after banger.
Yeah, he needs to hit burger after burger after burger. Look, if you're DMs who do not enforce this challenge, remove their BROz N the HooD distinction before July 4th. Even if they were on the show, even if they're ranked. If you don't enforce
the band off your cap.
Take it off. Take the band off your cap. If you don't enforce this challenge, you're out. You're gone. You're done. Don't reach out to me. Don't message me. I've got you on mute, and you don't even know it. That's how bored I am of your campaigns. Look, because I am a giving main eventer, I'm going to give you some examples of what this means to be a PC who instigates, seeds, was the inciting event, etc. of a Battle Braunstein. I'm going to give you some examples, and we're going to run through them. We got maybe 10 minutes more of the How Long is Dunder Moose podcast. So you guys can maybe give your own examples. I'm going to give you some I just thought of off the top of my head today when I was creating this challenge. So again, 25% dock. If you don't do it by July 4th for 4 sessions, 15% bump up in XP if you do.
Right.
DMs who don't do it, remove BROz from your profile. Don't ever talk to me again. Examples of something like this. Maybe do a mission to spy on a patron for another patron. Make that one of your session goals. Okay? You go to Mandoff and you say, hey, I'm going to go spy on Chaz. Do something like that. That's an inciting incident. It's a good chance that is going to lead to some sort of Braunstein thing at some point. Okay?
Heck yeah.
Scout the wilderness to find the layout of borders of a big bad, like a big bad evil guy who might, could, or should be a faction leader. It can be a brand new thing. You can invent, this guy can be invented in the session. It doesn't necessarily have to be a patron, or could be a patron. That's kind of like a spying thing. But if you do this type of thing in session and that NPC becomes a faction leader during a Battle Braunstein, that's fair. Or you think he should be. You then bully your DM into doing it. You say, look, we went out here and we found we found a warlock. We fought with this warlock. Or in the case of my in the case of my Battle Braunstein, the Fishtstein, it was they went out and found this this berserker guy during session. So the players of that session could say, look, we were the inciting event and we helped push it because we knew this guy would be cool. And I want to take a break. I want to take a quick pause right now. I should have actually said this when I was talking about mine. I talked last time when I was on the What Even Is a Dunder Moose podcast about Billy, the mayor of Fishtstein. His name's
Billy.
Tuck. His name's Tuck, and I said his name wrong the entire time. I think that was due because I was thinking of the champ here. Billy, who took over the original Battle Braunstein. Who cares? It's Tuck the Barbarian, Friar Tuck. I'm very sorry, Tuck. My bad on that. He did not complain. He didn't come to me. Other players came to me and said, dude, you said his name wrong. I said, there may have been Sweetwater 420 involved. I don't know. It's possible. So moving on, I'll give you some more examples. Here's another one. Maybe eliminate the guards for a former faction leader, who's a current patron. Like you go and take out one of his patrols during a session. We're talking about session play. Why don't you player characters do interesting, cool stuff that leads to PvP or focuses on PvP during your sessions? Stop with this going in the dungeon, being best pals, and just get a ruby and come out. Stop it. It's boring. Everyone's tired of it.
How come nobody tried to steal Macho Mandolf's mirror?
Chaz was working on that, and then Jeffro flipped the table. I had that in play. It was going to be like the next session. I had some player characters in place by some scheming, and if we had one more, maybe two Trollopulous sessions launched out of Machodor, I was going to pull the trigger on that.
Okay.
So it was just one. I was like 1 or 2 sessions late on Jeffro's flip. So another example is meme up a great NPC, big bad evil guy, or a big bad good guy. Meme him up. Be a player character who thinks this guy seems cool. Do it in session. You come across and says, "Oh, it's the there's a caravan with a paladin leading it." Be the player character in session who decides who that guy is, what he's all about, blah blah blah. It's a random encounter roll from the DM. The DM's tired. The DM's exhausted of dealing with all of you. The DM is just rolling dice constantly. Why don't you help him out? Hey, be a cool paladin, this paladin. Give him an idea. Be the one in as a player character who comes up with the idea. That would be a good example too. Look, if you have troops as a player character, go get into it. Or plan your supply lines. Get into it with the troops. Start fighting in a session. Or plan your supply lines.
Or build a palisade. Build a wooden palisade.
Yeah, exactly.
Build a palisade. You can win the Braunstein as a level 3 player character. Trust me, I've been there. I've done it. It's easy if you just engage.
All you need is some giants to assassinate your fiance's father, and you got the throne, man.
And lastly, an example of what you can do. Just be part of the inciting event. Be in session. I'm talking about in session. Again, reminding you, I don't want to hear about downtime. I don't want What does it say? Brian Renner says,
Brian says, or contribute to the workout. Always working it. He is never not on.
He's always on. He's like a BROz campaign. He's always on. Be part of the inciting incident in session play as a PC. This is what I'm talking about. Again, this challenge it's called the Elite PC Challenge. Get in there, be the instigating event in a Battle Braunstein for a future one that you can bully your DM into doing, or be able to prove that you've already done it. That's it. Prove it before July 4th. If you have a Twitter account, I want to see the posts. I want to hear about it. I want it to be entertaining. I want to see a wrestling meme. I want something cool and interesting so we can say, look how cool our players are. Look how cool the BROz are. Our DMs are fantastic. Our DMs are 3 to 5.5 stars. Let's get the PCs on that level. Stop hanging around at the 2-star level, PCs. We're bored of it. We're tired of it. We're exhausted of it. Get it going. Step up. Climb the card, please.
You guys don't think you don't know that he means it. He came on here and he talked about the Battle Braunstein, and we turned this game upside down, and you've just seen that we take it serious. We come back and we're going to grade this stuff. He's just as serious about this stuff, so make it happen.
For sure, and rank your players. Don't be afraid to give them a not E. If they're having an off day, give them, what is it, an S or whatever the second. It's not like an ABC, you know what I mean? Give them an S, whatever. Bully your players that way, because I get astounding results. I had a player constantly giving him P's or whatever, and he's stepped up, though he was the ogre's guy that got the bed ring last time. But they'll step up if you bully them and kill them. Don't be afraid to kill them. I've had, I got one player, I think, that won't come back because 3 times he came, I killed him 3 times in a row. It's trial by error, but that's how it's going to make you a better player.
Nobody rage quits. Are you playing hard enough?
BROz players do not sort of just fade away, just lose interest. They rage quit. They get so mad because this stuff is so important, because they see the DMs take it seriously. The players who matter take it seriously. Okay. Mandoff matters and he takes it seriously. That's the type of player we're talking about here.
Yep.
So get on that level. Okay. We all realize that Mandoff reaching sort of like name level and sort of taking over the region maybe wasn't the best thing for a campaign state overall over time. Okay. We all get that. That's why I moved to the Battle Braunstein. That's why Jeffro flipped the table, because that's how he rolls. He did a limdy hop. He kicked the table right over with his limdy kick. But
if your DM doesn't rage quit, are you playing hard enough?
If your DM doesn't rage quit, is he anyone but Jeffro? That's the question that really matters. Okay? No one quits. They rage quit. They get angry. They run away.
It matters.
We're at 2 hours and 2 minutes and 40 seconds now. I just want to reemphasize. I'm going to say it again. Once again, Elite PC Challenge. By July 4th, you prove that you were the inciting event. You were the possibility. You were the revolution. You were the you were part of the reason why a Battle Braunstein in your campaign already happened by July 4th. You post it on Twitter if you have a Twitter. You tow to your DM if you don't have a Twitter. Okay?
Yeah.
By July 4th. If you cannot prove that it's already happened, you prove that by July 4th you've since done it. Okay? And if you don't, you get docked 25% XP for the 4 sessions after July 4th. Okay? Whatever the 4 sessions are. But if you do it, you get hit with a bonus 15%
to the victor goes spoils.
So there you go. DMs who do not do this, who do not bring it to their campaign, are not BROz campaigns. They're not. They're out. They're gone. Take it out of their profile. Don't talk to me. Don't talk to my tag team partner. Don't talk to the Dunder Moose, although you probably are anyway, because no one does. Do not talk to the women's division unless you are a physicist. Okay?
B-dubs, Robert the Heel Stevens, this has been one of the most fun episodes I can remember in a long time. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for your time of preparation and work, bringing both the grading, bringing the insight, bringing the challenge. This is exactly what we need to be doing in the hobby right now. So I'm grateful you're on here, and I'd be down to do this again. Honestly.
Yeah.
Yeet.
Yeet. Yeet
Have
out.
a good evening, everyone. God bless to everyone that's listening. Submit to Rome, get baptized, pray the rosary. Good night, everyone.
Good night. Yeet.